Recap. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Chapter 885, Chapter Rev. Beneath the quiet shade of the garden, where ancient trees whispered softly in the wind of the immortal realm, a sudden clash of power had stirred the tranquil air. The young girl stared at Ling Han with clear surprise dancing in her eyes. She had not expected this outcome at all. "Yi, so you do have some ability after all," she remarked, her tone carrying both curiosity and challenge. In the immortal realm, the difference of a single star within the shattering void tier was like the gap between mountains and oceans. Cultivators who could break through the ninth layer were already rare, but possessing battle prowess exceeding 10 stars was rarer still. Once one crossed that threshold, the path only grew more difficult. Among 100 cultivators, perhaps only one could reach more than 10 stars of battle prowess. But those capable of achieving 15 stars? Those were monsters among monsters, perhaps 1 in 10,000. Moments ago, the young girl had merely launched a casual strike. Yet even such a relaxed attack still carried strength comparable to 13 or 14 stars of battle prowess, and yet Ling Han had matched it evenly. Naturally, the girl was astonished. "Again," she declared, her competitive spirit igniting like a blazing flame. Without hesitation, she surged forward once more, unleashing a flurry of attacks like sudden rain in a summer storm. Her palms, fists, and strikes came one after another, each movement swift and decisive. Ling Han remained calm as still water. Having lived through 2 lifetimes, he understood the temperament of this type of young noble lady all too well. Losing to her would cause little trouble, but winning? Winning would only bring endless complications. Yet Ling Han possessed his own pride. Why should he deliberately lose? Thus, he responded with relaxed composure, his hands moving effortlessly to block and deflect each incoming strike. Neither advancing nor retreating, he maintained a perfect balance between offense and defense. To an outside observer, it seemed as if the two were evenly matched. The battle continued. But the girl's repeated assaults brought no victory. Frustration slowly crept into her heart. Her temper flared. The restraint she had previously maintained vanished completely. Her hands shot forward with greater force, every strike now carrying the full strength of her cultivation. She no longer cared about holding back. She wanted only one thing: to defeat Ling Han. But unfortunately for her, Ling Han's strength had already reached 16 stars in pure physical power alone. And in the martial world, there was an old saying: overwhelming strength could shatter 10,000 techniques. Even without using any techniques at all, Ling Han could easily suppress her. Yet he chose not to do so. Instead, he carefully maintained the stalemate, even subtly allowing the girl to feel as though she held a slight advantage. Despite this illusion, she could never quite overpower him. As their battle continued, Ling Han's thoughts drifted elsewhere. The immortal realm truly lived up to its reputation. If 2 cultivators with 16-star battle prowess clashed in the lower realm, the resulting destruction would be unimaginable. Not only this garden, even the entire Point Star City would likely be reduced to rubble. But here, the waves of power they generated merely caused a few leaves in the garden to tremble gently. It was almost as if they had returned to the humble days of the body refining tier. Pang, pang, pang! Their strikes echoed one after another. The young girl attacked relentlessly, while Ling Han focused entirely on defense. After all, what honor was there in defeating a young girl? He had no interest in proving himself here. His true enemies were the 5 sects and the Ao clan, and beyond them, the towering elites of the Rock Palace. Those were the opponents he truly wished to surpass. Just then, "Wei Wei, stop." A deep, austere voice rang through the garden. Ling Han had already been on the defensive and had no intention of counterattacking. Hearing the command, he immediately withdrew, leaving the decision to the young girl. But she puffed out her cheeks stubbornly. "No, I'm about to defeat him. Just one more breath and I'll win," she protested with youthful determination. At that moment, 2 figures stepped out from the residence. The first was a middle-aged man who appeared to be in his 40s. He wore a robe embroidered with a Qilin pattern, and though his expression was calm, an aura of authority surrounded him like an invisible crown. Even without anger, his presence alone inspired awe. Following behind him respectfully was Xiang Chengyan, standing straight with his hands placed carefully at his sides like a loyal attendant. The identity of the middle-aged man was obvious. He was none other than the left minister of the Chaotic Star's majestic empire, Li Cheng, a supreme expert of the heavenly body tier. The minister smiled faintly as he observed the scene. "You little girl," he said warmly, "after fighting for so long, have you still not realized that he has been going easy on you?" "What?" Li Weiwei froze. She tilted her head and stared at Ling Han suspiciously. "Hey, tell me the truth," she demanded. "Were you deliberately going easy on me?" Ling Han gave a polite smile. "Fourth young miss possesses extraordinary talent and martial ability," he replied calmly. He did not answer the question directly. Instead, he praised her. And the praise was not entirely false. Li Weiwei truly was a remarkable prodigy. The young girl immediately brightened, completely missing the fact that Ling Han had cleverly avoided the question. Her chin lifted proudly. Her snow-white neck curved elegantly like the graceful neck of a swan, radiating youthful pride. This girl was Li Weiwei, the fourth and youngest daughter of the left minister. Minister Li had 4 daughters in total. Meanwhile, the right minister had 8 sons. In that regard, the 2 ministers were almost rival within their own families. Minister Li then spoke again. "Girl, did you know that this young man has just ascended from a small world?" "Oh, isn't that just shattering the void?" Li Weiwei replied carelessly. The Joint Peace Planet was enormous. Every year, thousands of cultivators ascended from small worlds. On average, more than a dozen arrived every single day. To her, it was nothing remarkable. She glanced at Ling Han with mild disdain. "You only shattered the void after reaching the 9th layer of the shattering void tier? How timid. If it were me, I would have done it much earlier." Once a cultivator entered the shattering void tier, they already possessed the ability to break through space and ascend to the immortal realm. Even the cautious ones would attempt ascension around the 5th or 6th layer. But Ling Han? He had waited all the way until the 9th layer. To Li Weiwei, that could only mean one thing. He was afraid. Minister Li smiled knowingly. "Weiwei," he said thoughtfully, "how about we make a wager?" "A wager?" Li Wei asked curiously. "Yes," the minister said with amusement. "We'll bet on the outcome of your battle with Ling Han. If you win, I will no longer restrict you. You may leave the imperial capital and travel wherever you wish." Li Weiwei's eyes instantly lit up. "Really? You're not allowed to go back on your word." She had long dreamed of leaving the imperial capital and exploring the wider world, but her father always worried endlessly and kept her under strict protection. Afraid that he might retract his promise, she immediately assumed a combat stance, ready to attack at any moment. Minister Li spread his hands calmly. "If you lose." "How could I lose?" she interrupted confidently. In this entire empire, perhaps only Li Weiwei, a mere shattering void tier cultivator, would dare interrupt a heavenly body tier expert mid-sentence. But Minister Li only smiled. Though he had 4 daughters, the first 3 had married thousands of years ago. Only this youngest daughter had been born just over a decade ago. Naturally, she was the one he spoiled the most. "If you lose," he continued gently, "then you must reach the mountain river tier before leaving the imperial capital. And only upon reaching the sun-moon tier may you leave the territory of the Chaotic Star's majestic empire." No matter how one thought about it, there was no way she would lose. "Fine." Li Weiwei agreed without hesitation. Right now, all she wanted was to defeat Ling Han. Once she did, the world would open before her. Without another word, "Shoo!" She rushed forward like a streak of lightning. Launching another fierce assault, Ling Han continued as before, calmly blocking and deflecting her attacks. He had no desire to become a pawn in this father-daughter wager, but it seemed unavoidable. Just then, "Ling Han," Minister Li said with a smile, "I'm counting on you. You must win." Though his tone was friendly, the authority behind those words was undeniable. He was the left minister of a majestic empire and a heavenly body tier expert. Ling Han sighed quietly. If he refused, life would become extremely difficult. For someone like Minister Li, crushing a lone cultivator like Ling Han would be effortless. No one would step forward to defend him. Even if the minister killed him, another puppet could easily be installed in his place. Thus, Ling Han slightly increased his strength. In an instant, the balance of the battle shifted. He gained the upper hand. Yet he still left Li Weiwei some dignity. Only after more than 100 exchanges did he finally defeat her. Li Weiwei stood there, stunned. Her mind could not accept the result. How could this be possible? A cultivator from the lower realm, someone so timid that he waited until the 9th layer to ascend, had actually surpassed her in battle prowess. She shook her head blankly. After a long moment, she suddenly declared stubbornly, "I refuse to accept this. We'll fight again." At that moment, Minister Li burst into hearty laughter. "Silly girl," he said, his voice filled with amusement. Ling Han is the master of his small world. Just a few days ago, he successfully opened the heavens and brought his entire world with him when he ascended to the immortal realm. Li Weiwei froze. Ah! Only now did the truth dawn upon her. Ling Han had not delayed ascension because of fear. He had waited until the 9th layer because he intended to open the sky itself. Those who could open the heavens were prodigies destined to shake an entire era. And now she realized something even worse. She had fallen right into the trap. Ling Han and her father, they had both fooled her. Despicable, she fumed inwardly. Too despicable. And just like that, the proud 4th young miss of the left minister was thoroughly furious. The afternoon air within the left minister's grand residence seemed to thicken with tension as Li Weiwei shot a furious glare toward Ling Han. In that moment, the young lady's heart churned with indignation. "It's already bad enough that father tricked me with that ridiculous wager," she grumbled inwardly. "But you are nothing more than a stranger. What right do you have to bully me like this? What have I ever done to you that you would dare treat me this way?" Her bright eyes burned with resentment as she fixed them on Ling Han. The left minister, however, showed no intention of letting the matter drag on further. "Ha ha!" Minister Li laughed heartily, his tone carrying the firm authority of a high official accustomed to command. "The wager has been decided, and a promise must be honored. From this day onward, you will attend the Scarlet Heaven Academy, and stop thinking about running off everywhere as you please." His voice turned stern by the end, yet beneath that sternness was a trace of unease. He knew his daughter far too well. This precious little girl of his possessed a temper that could rival wildfire on a dry mountain. If she truly lost her temper and openly rebelled, the situation would quickly spiral into a troublesome confrontation. Li Weiwei's delicate lips puffed outward in an unmistakable pout. "I may not dare disobey father's command," she admitted silently, though her pride twisted painfully inside her chest. "But this brat, I absolutely won't let him off so easily. I'll make him suffer until he begs me for mercy." Her gaze sharpened as it locked onto Ling Han. Ling Han, meanwhile, revealed nothing on his face, only his eyes flickered faintly. He understood clearly that this young lady would never allow the matter to end here. Still, what could he do? The left minister had already spoken so decisively. If Ling Han deliberately lost to Li Weiwei simply to appease her, he would be openly going against the left minister himself. The consequences of offending such a figure were far heavier than angering a spoiled young noblewoman. Compared to that, Li Weiwei's hostility seemed almost trivial. Of course, Ling Han had no fear of dealing with someone like her. What truly concerned him was something else entirely. If Li Weiwei were to drag out some terrifying immortal-level powerhouse from the immortal realm to suppress him, the situation could grow dangerous. Ling Han was unwilling to expose the secret of the Black Tower unless absolutely necessary. For now, the wisest choice was patience. "Just don't push me too far," Ling Han thought quietly to himself. On the surface, he appeared calm and easygoing, but hidden beneath that calm exterior was a proud and unyielding spirit. If matters were truly forced to the brink, then he would not hesitate to resolve everything through battle. Seeing the heavy atmosphere lingering between the two youngsters, Minister Li burst into laughter once more, attempting to steer the situation in a different direction. "Weiwei," he said with a warm smile, "you should learn more from Ling Han. He arrived here by splitting open the sky itself. Who knows how much greater his martial talent may be compared to yours?" His intention was obvious. He hoped to use Ling Han's extraordinary achievement as an example to guide and discipline his daughter. If those same words had been directed at a subordinate, the person would have immediately bowed respectfully, perhaps venturing toward Ling Han to request guidance with great humility. But Li Wei was an obedient subordinate. Why else would the left minister have gone through the trouble of arranging that elaborate better-traffer? Even the most powerful individuals in the world possessed weaknesses, and the greatest weakness of Minister Li was standing right before him. His beloved daughter had been spoiled to such an extent that he could hardly bring himself to scold her harshly. Li Weiwei merely continued grumbling under her breath. Her beautiful eyes remained fixed upon Ling Han. Naturally, she refused to accept defeat. At the same time, curiosity slowly crept into her mind. This brat doesn't look particularly remarkable, she mused inwardly. So how exactly did he manage to split open the sky? Every year, countless cultivators from the lower realms ascended into the immortal realm after reaching the shattering void tier. Thousands of them appeared annually. But those who had ascended by literally splitting open the sky? None had ever been recorded within the history of the chaotic star's majestic empire. In other words, Ling Han had created history. Ordinarily, such an unprecedented achievement would have filled Li Weiwei with burning curiosity. Yet now her thoughts were dominated by a single burning desire. She wanted this arrogant, smug-faced country boy to pay dearly for tricking her. Clearing her throat lightly, Li Weiwei lifted her chin with a haughty expression. That only means he managed to cultivate slightly further within the shattering void tier, she declared dismissively. But that doesn't mean he'll be able to break through into the immortal level. She continued with a confident tone. If he can't step into the immortal level, then no matter how powerful he seems now, he'll still be suppressed easily. Her voice grew even more lecturing. Besides, within the immortal level, there are 5 great tiers, and each of those tiers is divided into 20 smaller layers. Every step becomes harder than the last. She shrugged lightly. There's still a long road ahead of him. What's there to be proud of? Minister Li could not help but burst into laughter. He shook his head helplessly. You've already lost to him, he said with amusement, yet you still dare look down on him? Li Weiwei immediately ran over and grabbed her father's arm. Oh, that was just because I was careless, she protested. Then she turned toward Ling Han, pointing directly at him. Hey, whatever your name is, Han, she said boldly. 10 days from now, we'll have another match. Her eyes gleamed fiercely. This time, it will happen during the enrollment examination of the Northern Institution. I refuse to believe I can't defeat you. Ling Han watched her calmly. At this stage, yielding would not solve anything. If he deliberately conceded again, Li Weiwei would simply despise him even more. A faint smile appeared on his face. Very well, he replied casually. Then we'll settle it again at that time. His tone was light and relaxed, as if the entire matter were insignificant. Li Weiwei nearly exploded with rage. Her foot almost stomped the ground. This hateful brat! How dare he treat me with such indifference? After all, she was one of the 3 great beauties of the imperial capital. Countless young heirs of powerful generals and ministers dreamed of marrying her. Yet she had never even glanced in their direction, and this rural cultivator dared behave like an aloof noble? A mere country bumpkin acting like a lofty prince. Her anger flared hotter. I can't wait 10 days. If I have to endure this frustration for 10 whole days, I'll explode. Without another word, Li Weiwei spun around and stormed away. She had already decided she would find someone powerful enough to help her suppress Ling Han immediately. Otherwise, she would not be able to sleep tonight. Watching her storm off, Minister Li could only sigh inwardly. This young woman had been indulged for far too long. Yet even he could not muster the heart to truly scold her. All he could do was shake his head with a bitter smile. Then, in the next moment, his expression shifted back to the calm and serious demeanor of a seasoned statesman. Turning toward Ling Han, he spoke in a steady voice. Tell me more about your small world, and about how you managed to split open the sky. Ling Han did not hide much. He recounted the events honestly. Of course, he deliberately omitted several crucial secrets. The existence of the Black Tower remained hidden. His past life was never mentioned. There were also other matters he chose not to reveal. The Rock Palace, the Heavenly Emperor of Thunder and Fire. Those events had no direct connection to the splitting of the sky, so he quietly kept them to himself. Minister Li listened carefully to every detail. He was a cautious man. Only after questioning Ling Han thoroughly about the entire process of splitting open the sky did he slowly nod in satisfaction. According to Chen Yun, he said thoughtfully. You intend to enter the Scarlet Heaven Academy? Yes, Ling Han replied respectfully. Though Ling Han had lived 2 lifetimes, the gap between his age and the left ministers was still immense. The man before him had likely lived for countless millennia. Furthermore, Minister Li was an elite of the heavenly body tier. Offering respect to such a figure was only natural. In the martial world, strength commanded respect. However, respect did not mean submission. Ling Han's proud spirit would never allow him to kneel or bow his waist before another. Minister Li smiled faintly. If you truly split open the sky, he said, then your battle prowess must have reached the level of 20 stars within the shattering void tier. His eyes gleamed thoughtfully. Among this year's new students, your combat strength should be the strongest. He paused briefly. However, the Scarlet Heaven Academy does not judge enrollment based solely on battle prowess. He began listing the criteria calmly. Martial arts talent, the strength of one's spirit, and mastery of battle techniques. If you hope to enter the top 10 or even the top 3, it will be extremely difficult. It was clear that the left minister held little confidence in Ling Han's chances. After all, how could cultivators from a small world possibly match the talents of the Empire's geniuses? The children of noble families grew up under the guidance of immortal-level elites. Their martial techniques were refined and polished from childhood. Compared to them, the techniques of small-world cultivators were like crude tools. And the greatest weakness of small-world cultivators lay in their spirit. Those from lower realms only began cultivating their spiritual strength after reaching the shattering void tier. But descendants of powerful officials, like Li Weiwei, had consumed precious treasures to nourish their spirits since infancy. Even if it was only 10 or 20 years of accumulation, the difference would be enormous. Thus, in terms of pure combat strength, Ling Han might easily claim first place, but according to the Academy's typical assessment standards, entering the top 10 would already be incredibly difficult. Taking first place? Almost impossible. Yet Ling Han simply smiled. I am willing to try, he said calmly. Confidence filled his voice. Minister Li nodded. For someone of his status, even meeting Ling Han was already a great gesture. The only reason he had granted this audience was because Ling Han had accomplished the rare feat of splitting open the sky. Now that he had seen the young man and spoken a few words of encouragement, that was sufficient. After all, Ling Han might one day become one of his subordinates. For the next 10 days, Minister Li said, you may remain here. Once you have entered the Scarlet Heaven Academy, you can move there instead. Ling Han nodded politely. I am grateful for your hospitality. Cheng Yun, who had been standing nearby all this time, immediately stepped forward. There was no need for the left minister to say anything further. Lord Left Minister needs to rest now, Cheng Yun said with a respectful bow. Allow me to escort you to a side courtyard so you can settle in. Ling Han nodded. The two of them departed together. Inside the quiet hall, Minister Li remained seated. He slowly stroked his beard as he fell into thought. His talent may not necessarily be extraordinary, he murmured softly. But anyone who could split open the sky to reach this realm, there must be something unusual about him. His eyes narrowed slightly. If he reveals any remarkable abilities during the Academy's enrollment examination, then nurturing him might prove worthwhile. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his lips. After all, that time is drawing closer.